Welcome back to my channel Conquer the Fear. In this video we are going to discuss about Java 8 streams, group by and partition by examples. So in this video I am going to explain the real world difference, what exactly is group by and what is a partition by, how we can make use of this, and most probably this particular group by and partitions are asked in the interview questions. Okay, so when you are attending any interview, this particular group by and partition by, there would be n number of scenarios which the interviewer is going to ask you. So in this video I'm going to tell you about top 5 questions, okay, the scenario based questions which are asked for each of them. So I will give you 5 examples for each of them, and also that too I will show you to in this particular IntelliJ I will start running this particular program and show you what would be, how you can use those particular things. Okay, so watch this video till the end also. So first of all, before going into what exactly this particular group by and partition by is about, so we'll first discuss about what is group by. Okay, so group by is nothing but a collector. Okay, so it is used for grouping certain element. Now if you have been working in SQL, right, so you must have used, like, on a certain criteria you want a certain things to be grouped by. Let's say you are an employee. Okay, so yeah, and there is a department. Now I want all the employees based on their department. So that is, the grouping has to be happen on the department. So when it comes to Java 8, there was a inbuilt methods which were provided. So group by is one of them. So based on the string, right, what we provided as a classification function, it is going to return the map, which is going to be, the key would be definitely the one, let's say the criteria what you have checked, and the result of the classification. So the values will contain all the elements which will satisfy that particular condition, and that is going to fall on that particular group. So that is what about the group by is about. Okay, now when it comes to partition by, okay, so partition by is an again a collector which is going to be a special form of a group by. So it is something similar to that. Okay, but it is going to divide the element into certain groups, let's say based on certain, let's say 2 or 3 groups. Okay, based on the predicate or the condition which is going to happen. So the function which is going to return is boolean. So let's say you have an even or odd numbers, right, in a list. Now you want to segregate this based on the numbers which are even and one numbers are odd. Okay, or also you can also divide it by with the help of, like, all the elements which are divisible by 0, or all the numbers which are not divisible by 0. So that kind of segregation partition it is going to return. So it is going to return the map with 2 keys. Okay, so it is going to return the key and the value for it, but the key would be either true or false. So the one which is going to satisfy, that is going to be true, and the one which is going to not satisfy is going to return as a false value. Okay, so the value would be associated with the list which is going to satisfy that particular predicate condition, and then it is going to be added in that particular list. Okay, so far all good, right? So I hope, like, I was able to explain you what exactly the group by and partition is about. Okay, and interviewers also expect that, sometimes they mention that, can you tell me the difference between group by and partition, right? So they perform their activities and they are in the way internally they are different. Okay, so we'll first look into the partition example, sorry, group by example. Now in this particular example, I've already created an already employee over here. I'm going to create a static employee. So as we are currently looking into the group by example, so we'll first create a static class over here. Okay, so static class will contain what? Name, department, age, and salary. Okay, we have the constructor, we have the getter setter over here, and then we have an implementation of a toString. Okay, I hope you have already know the concept of static class. Please check out this particular, the basic concept of static class. Okay, I already have another employee class separately created, but actually I wanted they all to understand in one particular location. Hence, I've created everything in one single class over here. Okay, now in the main class, if you see, okay, I have created the list of employees. Now arrays as a list is going to give you the list of employee over here. Okay, now if you see, there are around 8 to 10 of them particular employees are created. Now they have got different departments, they have different ages and different salary. Okay, so names are different. So based on that, the employees will be created. Okay. Now we'll apply the scenario based question. Now as you are attending any interviews, you might expect some questions around it. So please watch this very carefully. Okay. And I'm going to discuss about the each questions and the example how you can solve it. Okay. Now the very first scenario what we are going to do is that I wanted to group by employee by their department. Now this looks very simple, and if you have been working in SQL, this would be little bit simple for you. But let's say you want to group by, right? So the collectors has given you one method called grouping by. Okay. Now if you see here, okay, it is grouping by it is the collector. Now if you see, let's say you wanted to collect as a list without by grouping by to certain things, then what you could have done, the collector to as a list you could have done it. But here what I'm trying to do, I'm doing the first operation, that is the grouping by over here. Okay. So grouping by with the help of the department over here. Okay. Now before that, in order to perform this collect operation, I have to convert this to a string. Okay. So as a department is something which is going to be group by. Now if you see group by, let's say sales, how many people are there? One, two, three, four people are there. Engineering, one, two, three. Okay. But based on that, you will have that particular grouping divided. Okay. So here if you see, I'm going to from this particular list. Okay. Now so far if you see, this is one of the terminal operations we have done here. Okay. Ultimately we are getting this particular thing. But here if you see, this is the terminal operation which we are performing on top of that particular thing. Now if you see, this is going to return an abstract collect over here, and then we are going to call, on top of that we are going to perform the terminal operation. Okay. Now if you see, this is going to be calling that particular thing. Okay. Now if you let's run this and see what will be the output. Now if you see here, okay, see grouping by is happening here. Now for an engineering employees, you will see there are David is there. Okay, their salary is mentioned over here, Grace is there. Okay. Now sales department, we have Alice. Okay. Now you see HR, one of them. Marketing, we have two three people over here. Okay. So this is how you have segregated as per the department. Okay. Any questions around it, please try to comment, I will try to explain it. Okay. Now let's look at this second example. Now if you look at this particular thing, okay, the scenario is we want to count the employees with the based on the each department. Okay. Now earlier we discussed about grouping by department. Now we have to perform after grouping. I wanted to count. Okay. First level is that I want to find the group, the number of employees under the department, and then I want to count that basically, right? So how many employees. Now it would be similar to that what we have done, because in that we have already done the half part of the job in that particular thing where we have grouped it. Now only point is that we have to count it. Okay. So what we have to do is that we will have to first convert it into the string. Second, we have already done that particular half part. Now if you see the second parameter, it is taking as counting over here. So this is called the second level of parameters where we are passing, where we are doing the aggregation over here. Now if you see, there are different kind of operations we can perform over here. We can do group by also, we can use flattening that, then you can also do some joining over here. Okay. Filtering also can be applied, you can do some max and minimum, partition reducing. Okay. There are averaging int also what you can do. Okay. So there are different thing we can perform on top of that particular group by of department. Okay. So once you do that, we can actually print those particular things. Okay. Now let's run this and see. The for each I am running, I am going to printing the count over here for each group of department. Now you see here, engineering has got 3, sales has got 4, HR has got 1, and marketing has got 1, 2. Okay. I hope this particular example is very clear to you and you are able to understand how to write this particular code. Okay. So let's move on to the another example. Okay. Now I wanted to find the average salary for the department. Okay. For department, I wanted to find the average number of salary over here. Now as we already discussed, again we will be converting this into the stream, and I will be applying the department as a criteria. First criteria. Second criteria, I've already told there is an averaging things which we can do on top of that. So here I am passing the salary over here. Okay, so that will be done the averaging. Let's say there are 3 employees on that, so the averaging will be done based on the 3 and divided by 3, and then you can average it that. Okay, so that is the same thing I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to print it over here. Okay, so let's run this example and see. Now if you see here, the employees engineering, the average salary is 85, sales is 67, 66 750, yeah, HR is 50,000, marketing is 60,000. Okay, so in this way you can achieve this particular thing. I hope this is pretty clear to you. Now let's move on to the other example. Okay, so here if you see, I'm trying to find the names, employee names. Now earlier there was employees only which were grouped by department, but I wanted an employee names only. Okay, by the department. Okay, let's say if you see here employee streams, and then if you see group by the department, anyhow I'm doing it. But in this actually I'm going to find, okay, from the employee object itself, each employee object. Okay, so that's hence the reason I'm using mapping over here. For each of this particular employee, okay, I am getting the name of that, and I'm trying to get the list of out of it. Okay, so I'm converting into the list over there. Okay, so here what happens, first level is department grouping. Second, on each of this I'm performing to get the I mean, let's say I'm grouping, let's say there are in department engineering there are 3 employees. From that 3 employees I'm trying to get that particular name out of that, and then I'm trying to convert into a list, and then from that particular thing I'm trying to print this. Okay, so let's run this and give you an example how it will show you. Now if you see here each engineering, I'm trying to print only the name over here. Okay, so let's say instead of name, I would, let's say I wanted to print only last name or the salary or any other things, right? We can do that as well. Okay, so this is how we can do this. The more you practice, you will be able to get these things. Okay, let's look at the last in the group by. Okay, so now here actually I want a group of employees with the highest salary in each department. Okay, the first level is that I want a department to be grouped by. Second, I want employee, the one which has got the highest salary. So we have already looked into the average. We have already looked into the number of employees. Now on from that particular employee, I wanted to first find out the highest salary was got it. Okay. Now similarly, this after performing the stream, I'm grouping it by this one. Now we already discussed there is already a aggregator function over here which is maxBy, and then on top of that I'm trying to compare it. Okay, because here we are using the comparator over here. Now you must be already knowing the comparator functionality, so which is going used for the custom comparison. We can do that, and also we can do the sorting on that particular thing. So here the highest salary is required, so that is the reason I'm doing the max one. So if I wanted the lowest salary, instead of the highest salary, I have to just minimize minimum by, okay, of this salary over here, and then I can perform the operation over here. Okay. Now one thing to note over here, if you see this, I'm using an optional feature where this is going to return you an optional of or else. Let's say there is no employee which is going to satisfy this particular condition, or empty list is been written, or this is going to return the null value. So in this way you are gracefully handling this particular scenario over here. Now if you see here, employee have got their engineering the name to the department over here. Now if you see here the highest salary. Okay, so this has got the highest salary, the 90,000 employee. So it has got all the details of that particular employee, like which department it belongs to, what is the age, what is the name. Okay, okay, that is the for each department. Now let's, I mean, I was able to explain you the top 5 of them. There might be another things which will be coming up in the later videos, but here is the top 5 of them. Now let's look into the partition example. Okay, now similarly I've created a static employee over here class. Okay, I get a getter setter and other the two-string implementation, and I've created the employee similar to that over there. Okay, now let's look at the first example. Okay, now I'm going to run this particular thing and show you as well. So partition we already discussed, it's a specialized form of group by. Okay, now it is going to partition the employees based on the manager and the non-manager. Now let's say the interviewer asks you, I wanted to find all the managers and also I wanted to find all the non-managers in the company. Okay, so what we have to do in this particular thing, first we have to convert the string, then I have to group by partition by. Now we already discussed partition is going to have only two things. One is the one which is going to satisfy, those are the list. One is the condition which is not going to satisfy this. Now under this employee I have a value, that is manager or not. Okay, so let's say one person, example ABCD. Okay, now the difference between them is this. Okay, if he's a manager or not, this is going to be decided. Okay, so here I'm going to tell you that, this manager, let's say this Eve is a manager. Okay, this particular Grace is the manager. So there is only two to three of them who is going to be the manager, like Charlie. Okay, rest all of them are employees. Okay, so now here based on this particular manager, this condition. So this is going to be partitioned by. I already told you that is this is going to take the predicate over here, and then the value is going to be true or false, which is going to be written. And based on that, we can actually get that true value and the false value. So this is the key. Okay, let's run this and I will show you what exactly I'm trying to say. Now we already discussed the managers is going the one which is going to be the true condition, as we already tell it, if it is the condition is manager. Okay, so here if you see, these are all like a Charlie is there, Eve is there, we already discussed, right? It is those all peoples. Okay, I hope you are this if this kind of questions comes, you will be able to easily answer this, because I'm trying to explain you each line by line what would be the expectation from them. Okay, now let's look at the another example for partition. Now for employees, okay, I wanted to have the salaries who are at a certain threshold. Let's say I will give you certain criteria. Okay, so let's say the threshold is 65. Okay, so I want all the employees which are equal to or greater than 65,000, and the one which is below that 65,000. So in this case we'll be having two categories, right? So same thing, I've done that. I've given a different scenario, a group by salary, and then I've given you the criteria over here. So here I've just used in the partition by. If you see, I earlier I've just given the name of that particular salary or other whatever it is. Here I'm giving the condition to satisfy and see whether it is above or not. Okay, so that's the difference. Let's run this and see. I see you'll have again have these two things above partition by, which is going to be true threshold, right? So that is the one which is going to return true and false, and then all the conditions the employee who are returning to that particular criteria. Okay, so I hope you are able to understand this particular question. Now let's look at the third scenario. Okay, now here I wanted to partition based on the employee with their age and the number of count of the employees. Okay, so here I'm trying to have two conditions, age and then the count of it. Okay, so what I will do, first I will try to do the partition based on their age. Okay, so I've already told there is a threshold of 30. Okay, now then I wanted to count how many employees are there. So uh, I wanted to find, okay, employees, okay, who are having age as a 30. That is one of the criteria. Second criteria is that second criteria is also certain things I wanted to do is that how many people are above 30, how many people are above below 30. Okay, so in this way there are two categories. Okay, or older than. Okay, now you see the five people are above 30 and five people are below 30. Okay, so these are n number of situations or n number of logics. We can simply make use of this and try to achieve this particular right things, instead of writing the for loop or a complex logic where earlier prior to Java 8 we used to normally write very manually. Okay, and that was quite error prone, but these are all quite tested, and also have will give you a benefit of parallel streaming as well over here if you take advantage with the code. Now here if you see the partition of an employee, that is going to belong to a specific department. Okay, now let's say a certain department I am going to define, and I want only those employees which are a department belonging to the sales employee and the one which is not sales team. So let's say you wanted your sales team is performing some pitch. Okay, so they wanted to segregate the information between the sales and the non-sales team, with you can include the tech team, the CEO and other people, right? So they wanted to show some metrics or parameters on their skills, or like they wanted to do some presentation based on the offer, right? So you can do this, right? If you see here, the condition is department by, and then I'm giving you the condition of the target department. Okay, and hence I'm getting that particular thing. Similar way, you'll get all this particular value. Okay, so this is how we can actually perform this particular criterias over here. The last one is that we'll check out how we can partition the employees based by certain names and certain letter, right? So let's say you want all the employees which are starting with letter A, okay, or we'll see that. Okay, so here if you see similar condition, I'm trying to get that with start with. So if you are not using Java 8, right, you have to use the for loop. Then you have to check, like if it is contains or something like that, start with another do for loop, you have to check in the each iteration, you have to check that. So here in single one line you are achieving this with the help of that particular criteria, and then you are printing it. Okay, so we'll have the names which are starting by and non-starting by. Okay, so all, if you see, only one name is satisfying this, other are all like Bob, Charlie, etc. Okay, so I hope this video was very helpful to you, and you got an understanding of what is group by and partition by. So next time if you attend an interview and if you got this particular questions, you should be able to quickly solve this, because I've explained you line by line what needs to be the answers, or like how you can achieve that. Okay, so if this video was helpful, please share this video with the needy people. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Thank you for watching.